Deep compassion, like what we practice just by listening to one another without judging. This is something that we can bring home to practice with ourselves first, to listen deeply. There might be things within us that we are not listening deeply enough. Could be feelings of joy that we're not allowing to be expressed, feelings of gratitude to celebrate life's moments and achievements, or sometimes to address things that requires our attention. Remember, I say it's not about healing. It's about giving that presence to what needs to come up and show up, and to listen with compassion. This is why Guaning is called the sound perceiver, Avalokiteshvara, to listen, to simply listen, to listen to the sounds of suffering, sounds of pain. And when we repress our feelings of joy that's meant to come up in life, that is in itself a kind of suffering. We may live through different moments. We may receive things that we do not wish to receive. Sometimes it's easier to blame the world. It's easier to blame our friends, to blame society, blame our parents, blame our upbringing for not being perfect. Blame others for not listening to us. Why me? Why am I receiving this? Why is life not perfect? But is anyone's life perfect? Because sometimes we fail to see the goodness that has come out of it. We forget to be grateful for the shit that has happened in life, that has molded us. Why lotus? Because lotus can only grow on mud. It can't grow on marbles or crystals or diamonds or jewels. Only mud. The dirtiest mud. The dirtier the mud is, the more brilliant the lotus is. And when you bloom into a lotus, water and dirt will just roll off its petals and its leaves. It's untainted. Just like how we transmit negative seeds to others, sometimes we may feel guilty. Did I say something wrong? Did I misrepresent something? What's going to happen to the other person? Right? Great if you can go and rectify the mistake. But if you can't, you have to accept that that's part and parcel of life. At a point of time, you're probably ignorant, don't have as much wisdom, you're not operating in your own Buddha nature, your own awakening nature. But you have to trust that the other person has his or her own mind, has his or her own time to practice or to learn, to grow. And they continue for you, just like how we continue for others. We get the good, we get meshed up with the shitty ones, we use the good to embrace the shitty ones, and we transform into more goodness in life that we carry on, right? And energetically, it's going to help the other person who gave us things that we do not like. But we can't blame anyone. What matters most is now, right here, right now. What can you do with it? Because life falls into your hand and it can work for you. The universe is here to give. Or what the Abrahamic religion says, God always gives, God always loves, God always forgives, right? But are we able to embrace and to receive that? So we need a purity of mind to be able to see it and to transform. And others will transform for you. And then you can truly let go, live in peace. Because this is the truth. The world doesn't revolve around you. We revolve around one another. No one and nothing is the center of the universe. And that's the beauty of it all, right? You don't have to be so overly burdened by responsibilities, take on roles that you do not need to take on. So this is the kind of understanding and reflection that I would like to pass on to all of you to think about. This is the beauty of life. Sometimes in life, you don't just give your presence, right? You give your absence as well. It's equally as important. Because sometimes you may be in the way of someone's journey. You think you want to help, you may be an obstacle. Because you're just one conditioning in that person's life. But when you let go, you offer your absence. Your impact on that person's life amplifies in a good way. So think about this. And sometimes the absence of others in our life is a good thing. Wouldn't it be terrible if you have, how old is everyone? 30, 40, 50? How many classmates have you had? Wouldn't it be terrible if you need to text like 100 people every night to say, hey, what do you have for dinner? Hey, how's my day? Maybe that's why we have social media, to announce to the whole world. To announce the whole world so that we don't have to respond to every comment, right? So it shows, right, in the behaviors that we do, whether you post online or not. It's like, it's okay to have absence in life sometimes. That's peace, everyone moves on so that you can move on. Maybe one day you come full circle and then we meet again. We can drink tea, we can smile, we can enjoy and appreciate the flower together. And so what if we don't meet again? But because I met you, then maybe you drink tea with you. But I accept that I am that part of that, whatever you want to call it, because at that point of time, absence or presence does not matter anymore. You don't have to recognize me. I recognize myself, you recognize one another, we recognize that thing, and we don't name it. We don't call it anything. And that is the true bliss, freedom, and peace. And every religion, every tradition, every sect within every religion has tried to name it, but they can't adequately express it. You call it Brahma, tomorrow I call it God. I call it God, she calls it emptiness. She calls it emptiness, he calls it the Tao. He calls it the Tao, she calls it the Dharma. She calls it Dharma, she calls it Nirvana. She calls it Nirvana, he calls it a very nice stick. Because we're all trying to explain something that can't be explained, and people will misinterpret it. And when we realize that we are following someone's misinterpretation of that thing, the essence, we scrap it, we come up with a new name for it, our own name. And when we try to teach it to others, people think they get it, but they don't. So fundamentally, there is no difference. What matters most is what the saints and the sages were trying to, from which angle were they expressing themselves? Which also means, from which angle do we want to express ourselves in life? Okay. Thank you, everybody.